Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here. First and foremost, launching and unveiling my brand licensing program with HGH really means a lot. I was very keen to meet all you pioneers in the industry and to collaborate and to invite you to come across various categories and join us in building a sustainable, beautiful, valuable brand that actually helps in changing people's lives. So it's actually said Kartika, and it's a Telugu plus a Sanskrit word which means Kajal. So Kartika Kallu means beautiful eyes. So you guys have seen me in over 60 movies. I have been working in the film fraternity for almost 2 decades now. It's been a very fruitful and a very fulfilling journey. But now I feel that I'm at a space in my life, I'm at a phase of my life where I want growth and diversity over other spheres and other industries as well. Home and living is an industry which is very close to my heart. And recently I found quite a few market gaps when we were doing up our home. And I felt that we don't really have a strong Indian brand which depicts Indian values rooted in Indianness and Indian culture, which is so big and vast and beautiful, still being very contemporary and keeping in mind the functionality of the products that we use and keeping in mind the sync and synergy across various categories. So I really wanted to come forward and create a brand which actually could fill this market gap, and that's how Kartika came into the picture. That's also how keeping the brand philosophy of Indian rootedness, culture, integrated with a lot of modernity, contemporariness, and keeping functionality as the main key point of this brand came about.
Understand your take.
So first of all, thank you HGH for this fabulous platform. I think that, if you look at all the top level companies that we have in this show today, and if you ask them, only a small percentage of the products that they have here is what their capability actually is. So actually speaking, a lot of these guys are also exporters. And so when you go internationally to trade shows or to stores overseas, you see a lot of our product in India being sold overseas. And a lot of us go abroad shopping and we see this product and we don't even know it's made in India. And then we say, oh, this is really great, we want to bring it back home. So I think that, as a demographic, the 25 to 40-year-old homeowner is becoming younger and younger, and there's much more demand for for what you see on Instagram, what you see on TikTok, what you see globally. And we felt that bringing together everything onto one platform and partnering with these great manufacturers that we already have and these great brands that we already have in India would be such a great opportunity for us to actually be able to bring our thoughts, our philosophy, our understanding, our expertise, and really bring Indian design values to the forefront and present that in the market. And so again, partnering with HGH, partnering with great brands here, and really trying to create a difference in the market is something that we're really looking forward to doing.
So here we have this beautiful logo at the back. This is Kartika, and
I think accepting yourself for what you are, and where you come from, humble beginnings, beautiful journeys, I think all of that creates a sense of rootedness and a sense of belonging, which is extremely important, which is our brand philosophy, and adding that in every aspect of your life. In this situation, obviously home and living would be the best primary example for this, where you probably have an Indian element in a very contemporary design. You have products which are very technologically forward, great materials for the same, great innovations for the same, yet the design would be Indian. So a marriage of this, a synchronization of this would probably would mean embracing yourself and staying rooted.
No, I would say.
No filter would be very true and very on point, Vishal. I think digital media comes with its pros and cons. I want to emphasize on the pros right now, since we are discussing this. It gives me a platform to just be my true, authentic, most organic self, post my literally daily affairs, my living, so that my fans and my audience can get a glimpse of how I live my life, what I am behind the scenes, what I am behind camera, and just to keep it very real and authentic.
Regular people can't handle it.
Also, we are influencing so many young minds.
Yes.
So that's where the responsibility picture comes in, where you want to make sure that you give out the right message and you don't influence people in a way which might harm them or affect them in a negative manner.
And I think we have seen on social media she's been sharing her progression in life too with what you're intending to build now.
You know, interesting that you said that because literally while we were doing our home, we went from across various brands, across various categories, scouting for things, trying to put it together, trying to make sure that the entire visual looks synergistical and trying to make it all come together beautifully. And that's where we found difficulty, because there wasn't any one platform that would suggest superior products at the right kind of value, still would give us the best design options, would give us beautiful aesthetics, and would give functionality. So I think that's the primary gap that we're trying to fill, and that's what we're trying to achieve through Kartika.
Okay. So
I think, Vishal, that internationally responsible consumption is becoming very important. So ethical sourcing, reducing waste, things like that are becoming very, very important. Conscious living is becoming more important, and we are seeing a lot of that coming into India, because traditionally that's how Indians used to live. But now, because life has changed so much, I think that we're living in a very high stress, high anxiety kind of, high paced environment, where we really need to understand and go back to our roots. And that's where our brand really, comes into the picture, I think at the right time. And that's why, like you said, instead of going the endorsement route, we were very keen to pick the right partners to work with, to bring the right products into the market. And that's why, again, GH is a great platform to be at, to find the right partners.
yeah, so in terms of pottery, in terms of...
So I have been a huge admirer of artisanal work, Indian artisans, the kind of rich heritage that we have, the kind of work that we do in terms of pottery, in terms of the colors, the dyes, the palette that we live in, which is so vibrant and beautiful, and there are so many hues and shades, the kind of materials that are used, the kind of intricate designs and Indian motifs that we have and that we belong to, and we've seen all through our lives while growing up. I feel it's high time we bring this aesthetic into home, into living, and create a design philosophy which is very proud of the fact that we have such a massive heritage and we come from such a rich history and such rich culture.
So
also in terms of materials, like Gautam just said, we are all gravitating towards materials which keep away allergens, which keep away carcinogens, which actually facilitate a healthier life, which basically bring us back to our roots, and that's how our ancestors have lived their lives. And it's time that we go back, which we are already doing. We can see that this current generation is already gravitating towards things like that. So we're just trying to present all of that with a beautiful design and aesthetic.
So if you look at the trend,
So I think that, to move towards 100% sustainability, green practices, in the industrial way that we produce products today, as against maybe 100 years ago where everything was really handmade. There were, indigo dyes, vegetable dyes, there were things which were not chemical based. It's very difficult to actually go 100% towards that. But I think that a lot of companies and a lot of global standards have been put into place now that basically help us to get there, to have a path to get to that point. And again, I think a lot of Indian companies, who, actually sell overseas are actually working towards those standards. And that's another kind of, place where we find synergy with those kind of companies, where we try to move towards a path where we are as sustainable as possible, as green as possible, as conscious as possible. Because that's the only way forward, really, And I think that, globally, everywhere in the world you go to, be it in food, be it in fashion, be it in home, you're going to see that happening.
I think Sussex ended with modernity.
So I'd like to add a small little personal anecdote here. Through my entire film career, I have traveled extensively, all through the world, extensively through our country, small villages, tiny little cities, tier 2, tier 3, stayed in places like this, explored places like this, and for massive chunks of time, like for a month at a stretch, I've been in a small town and actually explored the architecture of that town, understood what their temples are made of, what their culture is all about. And I feel it's time now to show the rest of the world how beautiful all these elements are. If you see in this particular slide, the wooden ceiling, that's a typical Tamil Nadu thing from Karaikudi, for example, which is a small town which focuses on having beautiful wooden work as a part of their home and as a part of their living. So things like that would actually mean embracing yourself and staying rooted.
I think that's a great insight and ideas.
I think it's best to first seek inspiration from our own country. We have a lot going on here.
Yeah, so
I think, a lot of people kind of the first thing they do is they get a Vastu consultant, and they try to change everything in their home. That's something that we stayed away from. But definitely we wanted to have a very nice place where we have, a space for our mandir and a space for spirituality. Because that, I think, brings the right vibes, the right peace, the right energy into any home. And that's very, very important, in Indian homes. So I think that, in terms of our brand itself, spiritual decor as a category is huge in India. And that's something that we are actually really looking forward to exploring.
I think you've covered it very well. Along with spirituality, I believe that all of us, Indian families, we like celebrating our festivals. We like doing our pujas. It gives us that sense of peace, that sense of stability and security. And I think that's where the idea of spiritual decor truly originated. I love having people home for Diwali, for example. I love having people over for Holi or maybe a Raksha Bandhan. And be it anything, I like celebrating these things with my family, with my friends, with everyone that I love. And I think that applies to everybody across age groups. And that's something that we want to teach and imbibe in our children as well. And there isn't really a particular brand which caters to needs like this. So that's where Katika fills the gap.